experts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Tampa. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we are here. God, I can't believe the year is almost up. Let me get right to our expert. We're talking estate planning today. And we have got the greatest estate planning attorney. She's not only a sweetheart, but she's got a cat. And I love cats. Let me welcome you to a real sweetheart attorney, Debbie Baker. Good morning, Debbie.
Hey, oh my gosh, it's dark in here. Wait a second, it's dark in here. Hold it. Oh. Much better. Okay.
This is how live TV works.
It's like, whoa.
I hope you had a wonderful and a blessed Thanksgiving.
I did. I did. Spent it with family. No arguments. It was wonderful.
Wow, no arguments. Wow,
Not a one.
Amazing. Yeah. And we also just want to throw out our prayers to the people in Israel. God, I pray for them every day. Debbie, I had two people who contacted us last month who missed the opening, and they said, how come you never ask Debbie about her background? We would be interested, but we do it at the beginning of each show. But let's do it again for everybody. Tell people about
my background.
Your background.
Okay. Well, I was born on a small farm. Walked uphill both ways to school. I was born and raised in
humor.
Yeah, that's right. I was born and raised in New York, and moved to Boston. Started college. Left after a year and a half, decided I had to go back to school and went to Boston, got a degree in criminal justice at Northeastern University, which I learned there's really no such thing. It's pretty oxymoronic, but that's another, contradiction in terms. Came to Florida a long time ago. I thought about becoming an attorney actually when I graduated from undergraduate school and was accepted in a school up there. I still think about 72 hours before classes started, and I couldn't imagine making it work. I got accepted down here in Florida at Nova, which was their first year, and I didn't know enough about accreditation, wasn't mature enough to even research it, so I didn't go there. Moved to Tampa too long ago because it's still not my favorite place, but and thought about law school a couple of times. In the interim, I did a bunch of things, but the thing I spent most of my time at was I did executive coaching or life coaching or whatever, where people would call and say, I can't figure out what I want to be when I grow up, and we go through that. Or people would call and say, I would hire everybody working for me again if I had to, but Joe and Susan can't talk to each other, and I don't want to fire either one of them. Can you come and help or whatever? Loved it. Asked very hard questions. Which I was known for, but you could never give me a wrong answer, which is not true in the law. I mean, you can do things wrong in the law, but in the world of coaching, you really can't do anything wrong. So I loved it. And then kept thinking about law school and thought about it one time and asked an attorney here in Tampa if I had to take contracts and torts. And he said, yes. I went, well, never mind. I'm not going to law school. Forget about it. And then I thought about it again. And for whatever reason, I didn't find the school I wound up at. I only found a school that would cost me $30,000 a year and let me practice in California, and I wasn't going to California. And then in December of 2008, which is absolutely amazing because that's almost 15 years ago, in a time of prayer, I became a Christian in 1984. And in a time of prayer, when I would
Amen.
ask God, do I keep coaching or do I get a job? The answer I got was go to law school, which, to say the least, was unexpected. Um, and I hyperventilated and, like I couldn't imagine it. And then I asked him when, and he said, get ready. Pepper, you having a good morning. And then he said, get ready. And I didn't know what that meant, but I figured I could do it. And so 32 months later, I started law school in August of 11. And that whole journey was miraculous. Probably everybody listening, watching, whatever, you have had things which, imagine how you'd ever fit it in your schedule, but when it came to be the right time, it was the right time, and then it was a piece of cake. So I started in 11, I graduated in 15. I loved it. I forgot how much I loved being in a classroom. It was really glorious. I was, by birth certificate, I was the oldest person in the room, so grades weren't relevant per se. And, I wasn't looking for law review or any of those things. I just went to learn and have fun. And I was very blessed. I passed the bar the first time from July of 2015. And I chose planning and probate and all that because it's just a great way to be of service. Coaching is a great way to be of service. You really help people walk through things that they couldn't imagine have gotten through without just some conversation. And the estate planning is the same. So that's how I came to be it. And so I've been practicing for just over 8 years in terms of got sworn in 8 years ago.
Estate planning is so perfect for you. Your personality, like just your smile, because when it comes down, you're planning for, after you pass away, you're planning for your kids, your wife, and sometimes it's tough, and you get right in the middle of it.
I get right in the middle of it. It's the paper. I really do hate the paperwork, but the people are so fascinating, and the things they bring. You said your wife and your kids, but you and Sophia have pets. So I mean, you've probably mentioned whether either one of you have children, but you have pets. So and then how do you provide for them? And that's a big concern for people. Like, who's going to take care of my animals after I go? The other thing is, and Florida, not all states do, but Florida allows pet trusts, kind of like Leona Helmsley tried to set up years ago with like $22 million for 2 dogs. Maybe a little bit extravagant, but pet trusts. And that's important to people. And you and I talked about this before, that for me, what I've come to learn is, yes, it's important to have all of those things in place, and the documents that exist to help you while you're living, like your power of attorney and your healthcare surrogate, are equally essential, because things happen. You need somebody to get into a bank account and you haven't given anybody the right, or you need somebody to speak to a doctor and you haven't given anybody the right, and you don't have a spouse, because spouses can, you may not want your spouse to speak for you, but in the world of the law, if you have a spouse, they can speak. But if you're single, if you and Sophia are not married, unless you've given each of you a document to speak to the doctors, somebody from your family can come in and say they have no right, and legally they're correct. So it's. And some of the conversations
I
are
was
difficult.
thinking about you a couple of weeks ago, because I too am a believer, and greatest thing that ever happened in my life. I found out that one of the people I serve with at Calvary Chapel passed away and left all of his real estate to the church.
Wow.
And I was thinking about, now, from what I understand, the kids are really upset. They're mad. And I'm sure that gets tough when you get in a position like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets tough. Yeah. And if that's what you've done, then that's what you've done. And the idea is that you either told your children that that's what you're going to do, or you certainly haven't appointed them to execute your final wishes. Uh, um, and that's always an issue. But yeah, I mean,
My question to you,
yeah.
Debbie, is how often, I didn't even know I was going to go into this, but how often do you, because I look at you, you're very intelligent, you understand the world. When a new client comes to you and says, I want to leave everything to the church, or whatever it could be, do you ever get involved and say, are you sure this is what you want to do? Let me give you some other ideas. Is that part of your job?
As a counselor, yes. Okay. Um, I've seen it more when people come and say they want to disinherit somebody.
Okay.
Okay.
Mostly the kids. I mean, their children.
Mostly kids. And kids and their kids. It's not only like disinheriting your son, but it's disinheriting any of his progeny, which I think is reasonably extreme, especially if the progeny don't even exist anymore. So don't exist yet. So you don't even know. But the thing I've learned is, yes, it's my role to counsel about it. It's also my job as an attorney to be sure that I've asked them for some kind of rationale for that, to protect me if somebody comes back and says, my dad disinherited me and I don't know why. And some people have put in their wills, I am disinheriting, my daughter. For all the Susans out there, I apologize. I'm disinheriting my daughter Susan for reasons that she understands. So I can ask somebody to give me some information, but I can't force them. But I need to be on record that I've asked. In terms of something like charities, giving property to charities or something like that, I've got one woman now, but she doesn't have any children. She's leaving all of her estate to 3 charities. And she set her home and her vehicles and all her property, but she's got an IRA and she's got some bank accounts, and those are going to people. Those are going to individuals. So the person who left all his real property to the church may have left things beneficiary designated where family wasn't necessarily cut out, but nobody would know about it because that's just going with a death certificate and the financial institution just writes checks. Does that make sense?
Well, I was thinking about that really has to make your job so tough.
You were thinking what?
I was thinking, can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that really has to make your position so tough when it gets to afterwards and people not happy with what they thought they were getting and didn't get. So anyway, I thought about you, but I just want to, one of the things with this show, Debbie, is I love when people get to know the expert, not just, education wise. And I just think it's so amazing when you started law school. I mean, you could just continued on with something you love doing, coaching. And then I just think that's incredible how you made that change, because I know there's a lot of people out there that go, I really wanted to go to law school. I really wanted to become a doctor. And they never did it. But you actually did it. I just think that is so amazing what you accomplished.
It's a lot of fun, and it totally was a walk of faith. And people know that they really can't say to me, I'm too old to do that. Excuse me? Like, what? Oh, yeah. Okay, I forgot who I'm talking to. But again, like, anything else, I've thought of things I need to do this week, and Brian Tracy teaches that we pay attention to the things we value most. And that's a great thing to look at if you're busy spending time building a career and you're ignoring your family, but you're telling your family that they're the most important thing to them. So we pay attention to the things we value most. And if a person says, I'm going to go back to school, and they really choose it, like it's clear that this is what they're going to do, my experience, not just for me, but for other people who've done similar things, it just all falls into place. Because your mind instantly drops out all those things you've been doing that are, in the world of Stephen Covey, maybe they're important and you've been treating them as urgent and they're not urgent, and maybe they're not even important anymore. So my life continued just fine. And the people because I went part-time, the people in my part-time class, I think there were 70 when we started. I think actually 66 graduated, which was really good. Those people, I work for myself. So, you work any 7 days a week or whatever we want, but these are people who had limited time. They had full-time jobs with corporations or in businesses or whatever. And they managed that and law school and their families. And now those are the people that the one who came to law school raising 6 children on her own, not at her choice, 3 of whom were special needs, and graduated in 4.5 years. That's the person to admire because she was going to get it done. And she did. And I think she passed the bar the 3rd time she took it. And she's practicing and her kids are thriving. But it was not easy. It was just not easy for her. So I love that people admire me and I really appreciate it. It's humbling. And I look at her and I think, there's the woman to admire. But the walk of faith is what made it easy. It was a walk of faith for me.
Wow.
I'm not saying it wasn't easy for other people or whatever easy. It wasn't easy, but it was just the right thing to be doing. So the promise was don't leave anything on the table. And I didn't get to any class or any test or the bar exam or anything else, or even my work here. I'll go back and look and say, have I left anything on the table? And if I haven't left anything on the table, then if anybody doesn't know the expression, it's like, did you do all you could do? Everything you knew to do, did you do it? Did you ask for help? Did you get what you needed? If I've done that, it's just, just pray that it's well.
I'll ask you, because we've already gotten a couple of people who've just written. Can you explain what a revocable trust is?
Revocable trust is just what it says. It's revocable. So you put money, you put assets into a trust, which is designed to help you avoid probate and then to pass your assets on after you die without it going into the public domain or over time or whatever. But as long as the person who created that trust is alive, they can do anything with it. So right now I've got a friend who created a trust and she put her home into it and she put a rental property into it. And she's going to sell the rental property. Well, it's her trust, so there's no problem. You just sell it. There may be a little bit logistically, because it hasn't happened with me before. So logistically, she has to do, but she has all the rights. She can sell that house with impunity. When she dies, that trust becomes irrevocable, which means the trustee, who's ever going to run it after she dies, can't change a thing in it. But revocable just means really what it says. You can add things to it. You can take things out of it. You can sell. You can do anything you want. You can dissolve it. You can do anything you want with it. But that's what the revocable trust is. And it's a vehicle to have assets passed down through generations. And it's designed to avoid probate. It's a private document. Wills become public knowledge. I'd imagine all states want wills to be recorded or filed, whatever they call it. And then, so if you were looking for somebody if you thought you were supposed to be a beneficiary in somebody's will, and that will had been recorded, you could find that will online or in the public records. A trust, okay. A trust, the will say, if you want information, look to my trust. Oh, by the way, you have no access to it. Now, obviously, it wouldn't say that, but so that's one of the reasons also people do trusts. Bing Crosby had a trust. So I read this years ago. And one of the reasons nobody ever knew how much he was worth when he died was because he had a trust. So however many millions or he wasn't worth, it all went through the trust and maybe still be going through the trust. But that's what a revocable. And it's living because it's living. Like I said, you can do anything you want with it while you're living.
What about when there's minor children involved?
Well, for minor children,
inheritance.
Minor children, they can't inherit money until they're 18, and I think that's federal.
That's a law.
I think that's federal. So the trust comes in then, because if you've got minor children and they can't inherit money, you need somebody to manage that. It's also to look at, would you have trusted yourself with any substantial money when you were 18? And most people would not have. Some people would have. Certainly I would not have. And so that's a way to be sure that you also don't hand an 18-year-old a substantial amount of money without them having some kind of grounding or background or support. You've read about athletes who get big bonuses, and if they don't have financial advisors or they don't have good managers, that money can be gone in a heartbeat because they say they squander it isn't fair, but they use it not necessarily in their best interest. So I really advise trusts when you have minor children, pretty much any age. But right now, my son-in-law and daughter have a trust. I mean, I didn't do it. They've had it for years. And their children now are 32, 31, and close to 30. And I think the ages for distribution, if both parents die, are now 35, 40, and 45. And he's thinking of changing like to 40, 45, and 50. Just because he figures, maybe they'll need it more when they're older, and all of them are doing well. And will they be responsible enough? Which they're all pretty responsible, but minor children for sure, absolutely for sure.
At the beginning of the show, before we went on the air, we were all talking, including our great producer Rebel, and it was about time and how fast time goes by, and it sure has with this show. Sometimes, I think there's more than just being an attorney, Debbie, which is one of the things I love about you, and I love sharing your story with others out there. So it's my fault that we kind of got behind in time. Give everybody your phone number and your website address.
So my phone number is 813-586-1332. And the web is londonbakerlaw.com. Anybody, I said this before. If you have a question, even if you're out of state, I love to help. So I'm always willing to help. With the understanding, if I don't practice in your state, it's just general thinking for you to go ask somebody else questions. But this whole thing, my coaching, this is all about being of service. So if I can be of service, don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to be of help. Oh, and my email address, because it's here, is Deb Baker at London. My email address is Deb Baker at London Baker Law, since it's up here in the chat.
Debbie's with us every month, the last Monday of the month. Debbie, thank you. I could do this for 2-3 hours every day with you. It is so, I love listening to you speak. We'll see you again next month.
Yeah.
I will talk to you, but have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And God bless.
You too. See you, Rebel. Have great holidays.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
That's attorney Debbie Baker. She does estate planning. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we have our next expert. You're going to love this show.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I love doing this next show. And the reason why I love doing it so much is because I don't know if it's just Florida, but gosh, there's a lot of automobile accidents. And we've got an older uh, demographics here in Florida. So there's people that are tripping and falling, slips and falls. And it's just so nice having a great personal injury attorney. Um, let's see if we've got, oh, okay, no one's in the green room. We're waiting. See, here's the deal when you have a live show that when the show is taped, you can take all this out. But when you have a live show like we are, especially with an attorney or a doctor, emergencies come up. And I got to tell you that um, being an attorney, and we have this is the law firm of Zervos and Caltra. Hey, sometimes emergencies come up. We're going to be doing a show today on personal injury. And I just want to check and make sure that I haven't gotten an email because I just spoke to her about 15 or 20 minutes ago. Oh, you know what? For some reason, she never got the link, which I did send her, but we're going to do it again, Rebel. Again, live show. This is what happens. Anyway, this firm they do personal injury, and personal injury is not just auto accidents. I'm hearing music for some reason, Rebel.
That is a caller coming in.
I don't know who.
Or CY Radio.
Good
Can we help
morning.
you?
How are you?
Hi.
I'm trying to enroll for the board member certification class tomorrow, and I've been trying for a few days. And being up in age, I just can't do it. It won't take
I
me.
don't know what this is.
Well, I don't exactly know how to help you with a board certification enrollment. This is a
Tell
radio.
them to listen tomorrow.
Listen, you might want to
Oh,
listen
I'm
in
sorry.
tomorrow.
This is the number they gave me.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, tell her it's for
Sorry
tomorrow.
about that.
All
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a
Rebel,
Sorry
you
about
never know who's going to call our show. There she is.
Absolutely.
Didn't get the
Good
link.
morning.
Good morning.
You know what? This is really strange. I just went back and looked, and I sent it. I don't know why you didn't receive it yet, but good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did. How about yourself?
It wasn't long enough.
Never is.
You know that? It goes by so fast. I was just telling the audience that we are so blessed to have your firm as our expert. And I'm going to tell you why. And I got to tell you because I actually, all day long, whether it's a bench or a bus or TV and I see these spots all day long, and I want people to understand. It's like in the Yellow Page Day, Lauren. People would think, "Oh, you got a full page ad. You must be the best."
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way. And so, I don't know other forms of advertising you did, but all I know is we got the best personal injury attorneys, and it's what we love about this show is that you don't have to go look and try to find somebody. We've already got the expert here. And I want you, right now, we're going to be giving a phone number out. We're going to be giving their website out. Write this down because you never know, do you, Lauren?
No, you don't. Unfortunately, accidents are very unpredictable. And you could find yourself in a position where you're without a car, where you need medical care, you're missing work, all because of somebody else's wrongdoing or negligence, and you need help.
I got to tell you that, I mean, here I live in Florida, but Florida has the worst drivers. And another thing also, Lauren, is we have an older demographics here.
Mm-hmm.
So slips and falls are very common down here.
They are. They are. Slips and falls, trips and falls. I- I- Owners of premises have an obligation under Florida law, Steve, to keep their premises safe for patrons, for visitors, for invitees, for people like you and I who go into a store to buy things. They want you to come in. That's the purpose, right? They want you to come in,
Right.
spend your money, and make them money. But they have an obligation to keep their premises safe for people like us. And a lot of times they don't. And as a result, people fall, people hurt themselves, and the owner is ultimately responsible. Although I will say that just because you slip and fall somewhere doesn't mean that they're automatically responsible. You have to prove that there was a dangerous condition that they knew about, that that was there long enough that they should have known about it, or that they created, like if they just mopped the floor and didn't put up a cone.
Do you find that I find that people who have never had to have a personal injury attorney don't understand how you charge. In other words, they
Oh,
don't have to come write a check when they come sit down and talk to you. So I think it's so important that people don't try to handle this themselves and to come to a practice like yours to handle that for them.
well, personal injury is a unique part of the law in terms of how we charge our fees, how we're allowed to charge fees. You go to a family law attorney or you go to a criminal law attorney, you have to put up a retainer and they charge per hour. We don't do
Right.
that. It's called a contingency fee agreement. And um, it makes sense when you break it down. Our fee or our getting paid is contingent upon us receiving a settlement or obtaining a settlement or a verdict on your behalf. And if we don't get a settlement or a verdict on your behalf, we don't get paid.
Exactly.
So it
Um,
costs nothing to come to see us.
yeah, that's what I don't understand why somebody wouldn't want to come see you and try to handle this themselves.
Um, a lot of people are jaded or weary of attorneys. Unfortunately, the profession, some people in the profession have earned, a shady characterization. Um, they think that perhaps they could save the amount they're going to pay in attorney's fees out of the settlement and pocket that. But what they don't realize is that the insurance adjusters are really trained on how to lowball offers and how to make
Yes,
nice with you and how to be friendly with you and make you think they're on your side and actually pay you a lot less than you would have gotten if an attorney was involved. So even with our fees, which is a contingency fee again, so it's a third or 33 and a third percent of any settlement before we file a lawsuit, 40% after we file a lawsuit and 20 days has passed, because litigation is much more labor intense. Um, Even with that fee, I would say 99% of the time you're going to get more with an attorney at the end of the day in your pocket than you would without an attorney trying to save the fee.
exactly. I've always been curious about insurance companies. Do they hire private investigators like to follow people who've made a personal injury claim?
Absolutely.
They
They
do?
it used to be years ago, you really didn't have to worry about that until you filed a lawsuit and the attorneys got involved and they hired an investigator to follow you, whether it be to work, to the gas station, to the drugstore, to Publix, Winn-Dixie, whatever. Um, but more often than not now, they're getting investigators involved pre-suit. So before we even file a lawsuit, it could be at the onset of the claim if there's serious enough injury. And the purpose of that is to show you doing daily activities. It could be nothing more than putting gas in your car. It could be walking down your block. It could be carrying, a couple of bags of groceries in from Walmart, or to get you, riding your bicycle when you say you can't, or playing, a game of neighborhood basketball when you say you can't go to work, or whatever it may be. They absolutely get investigators. I actually
Wow.
had a case in litigation, and the young lady had back surgery, knee surgery, and wrist surgery, and they hired an investigator. She worked at a bar with line dancing up in Spring Hill or Brooksville area called Miss Kitty's on the hilltop, and she was a cocktail waitress, and they had surveillance of her. And they had her, carrying the tray of drinks, and it was Halloween, so she was in like this little costume, and uh, they had her line dancing with the customers, so it looked really bad. It didn't look like somebody who was suffering from a back surgery, a knee surgery, and a wrist surgery. But we were able to counter that by bringing in clients or customers of the bar that evening. We tracked them down, which is part of what we do, and we interviewed them and we prepped them, and they came in and they told the truth that they saw her that night crying in the bathroom because she was in so much pain. And one of the customers even helped her put a pain patch on her low back that evening, to help get her through the night. And another customer saw her taking Motrin. And she got on the stand and said, I had to do this. This was part of my job. I had 2 kids to feed.
Right.
So you deal with it. But yeah, they do it all the time.
Can a person still work if they have a personal injury claim in?
They can. We never advise our clients not to work if you can work. I have an old saying: nobody's going to put diapers on your baby. So if you need to work, then you work. Just be careful that you don't injure yourself further, or that you do something that you had testified at deposition, or you're telling your doctors you can't do. If you're saying you can't lift more than 20 pounds and you're lifting a 40-pound or 50-pound box for work, that makes you look incredible. It makes you look like a fraud, basically.
When there's a person's involved in an automobile accident and they come to you for help, I've always been curious because, for example, if I was in an auto accident, a lot of times if let's just say I've got shoulder pain or low back pain, a lot of times people would go to a chiropractor,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know any chiropractors. One is, do you help your clients with that? And also, what about getting your car fixed?
Okay, so in getting to a doctor, whether it be a chiropractor, an orthopedic, your family doctor, primary care, physical therapist, we can certainly share our experiences with uh, doctors that our other clients have seen. I don't think it's an attorney's place to steer you or tell you where to treat, because that's your personal choice. I would encourage everyone,
Right.
Angela and I both encourage everyone um, to do their research. You want to look for a doctor near you. If you wanted my opinion based on feedback from other clients on those doctors, Angela and I are more than happy to give you that feedback. If it was somebody that thought you were in an accident, therefore you're just making up your symptoms and you can't really be hurt, I would share that with a client. Angela would share that with a client. If it was a doctor that one of our clients had great results with, we would certainly share that with you. Um, you know, where you.
What about getting your car fixed?
So a lot of firms, because they only deal with the injury portion, they don't help you with that, Steve. You're
Right.
on your own. Angela and I don't leave you out high and dry on that. We handle that for you. We help you with that as a courtesy. Oftentimes it's quicker if the insurance company is dealing directly with you as opposed to going through us, and then we have to go through you and tell you what to do, and then you get back to us with the information and we tell the insurance company. So a lot of times we will allow you to speak to the insurance company on, directly for your property damage claim. But if there's a hitch, if there's an issue, if there's a problem, we'll get on the phone and we'll help you with that free of charge if we're handling your injury claim.
So explain to people, because these insurance companies, they are very good at what they do. You're right; they're not your friend, and this is all they do all day long. So to go up against them, a lot of times, if you're trying to handle your case yourself, you could be giving them information that is not going to help your case at all. Whereas if they retain a firm like yours, you're going to handle all that for them.
Absolutely. So if you're in an accident, your insurance company will undoubtedly require a recorded statement of how the accident happened and what injuries you are claiming are related to the accident. You will never do that alone if we represent you. We will be on the phone or we will be in the room. We will prepare you for the types of questions beforehand. Once we're involved in the case, your job is to treat for your injuries and rest and do your therapy and do whatever the doctors tell you to try and get better. If you can't get better, that's where we get you compensated. We handle everything else. We like to think of it as taking a weight off your shoulder. You just worry about you and we'll do the rest.
I was told there's a lot of people who don't have auto insurance in the state of Florida. What happens in that case if a car you're in an accident and it's their fault does not have auto insurance?
Are you talking for the property damage perspective or the injury?
Yes, for the property damage.
So, we have run across cases where people will get insurance just to get the car on the road, and then they can't afford it to keep it up and they cancel it. Or they just drive without any insurance at all from the beginning. If they don't have insurance and they cause an accident and you have property damage to your vehicle, if you don't have comprehensive and collision coverage, which covers you whether you're at fault or not, you're out of pocket for those expenses. You can sue the other driver or owner of the vehicle that caused the accident for your damages to your car or your truck or your motorcycle. But chances are, if they don't have enough money to pay for insurance, they're not going to have any money to pay for a judgment.
Exactly.
So all you have is a piece of paper.
Yes.
It's sad. It's
yes.
really sad, which is why when we have a client come in or a potential client come in, we urge them to cover yourself first. So comprehensive and collision. And I believe we spoke about this last time we were on. Uninsured motorist coverage is so important.
Yes.
So important, because if you're hurt and the other party doesn't have insurance or doesn't have bodily injury coverage to cover you, you could have had 4 surgeries and you will get nothing for pain and suffering damages if you don't have uninsured motorist coverage.
Let's talk about right after, we're talking auto accidents right now. Let's talk about right after the accident occurs. Shouldn't they call the police right away?
Yes. Yeah. We encourage anyone who's been in an accident from the scene of the accident, call police. Have them come, have them do a driver's exchange of information and ultimately culminate a police report documenting what happened. So that nobody can say, it wasn't me, I wasn't there, wrong party. You have it in black and white. Sometimes the police are so backed up that you could wait 3, 4, 5 hours at the scene of an accident, and people can't afford to do that. They have kids with them, or they have to be somewhere, or they have a pet at home that's been, alone for 12 hours and they want to get home, or a family member, elderly or young family member that's been alone and they can't wait. And at that point, you just have to exchange information. I would recommend taking photographs of the insurance card, the other driver's license, and the license plate. Sometimes you call the police and they won't come unless there's, a requirement for an ambulance. If you're just kind of achy and you don't want to go to the ER because you don't think it's emergent, sometimes the police will say, well, just exchange information and there's no need for us to come. So again, pictures.
Lauren, I wanted to ask you, this is probably the most important question I'm going to be asking you today.
Okay.
Why should I go with your firm rather than another firm?
Because we're not your average firm. Angela and
I love that.
Yeah, Angela and I have been doing personal injury exclusively plaintiff's work for close to 50 years combined.
Wow.
Yeah, I know for me, it's been close to 30, 28, 29 years. Don't make me do the math. It's too early, Steve. But that's all we do. And when you come in, you will always meet with an attorney. You won't be meeting with an investigator, a legal assistant, a secretary, an investigator, a case manager. You will meet with either Angela or myself. We meet with every single client that walks through that door. Sometimes it means working late. Sometimes it means working weekends. Sometimes it means coming in really early to accommodate for client schedules. But we do that, and we treat each person like their family. Zervos and Calta has a very wide family, and we love to add to it daily. And we care about our clients. We personally, Angela and I personally read every single medical record, whether it's prior medical record or from the accident itself, for every client in our office. You won't be treated like a number. You'll be treated like someone that matters, no matter how big or small your case is.
That is an amazing thing to have in attorneys, and that is awesome. You ladies are amazing, and I personally think everyone who listens to the show and has a need for an attorney should check you out.
I appreciate that.
Can you give everybody your phone number and information again?
Sure. The phone number, Tarpon Springs number, which is our main office, is 727-937-3171. The main office is located at 1266 South Pinellas Avenue, Tarpon Springs, Florida. We have satellite offices where we meet by appointment in Spring Hill, in Clearwater, and in St. Petersburg. We handle cases throughout the state of Florida. So it could be on the East Coast, it could be on the West Coast, it could be Central, it could be North, it could be South. As long as it's in the state, we handle it.
What happens if a person is in an accident on a Sunday or on the weekends? How do they reach you?
They call the office number, and it goes directly to either Angela or myself, and we'll give you a call back that day.
I got to tell you, we are so blessed to have you and Angela as our experts in personal injury. You're going to be back with us in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
With more. And one more time, let's give everybody your phone number and your website address.
727-937-3171. And Zervos Injury Law is the website.
Okay, listen. We'll see you before Christmas, so I don't have to wish you a Merry Christmas. I'm glad you had a good Thanksgiving.
Same here.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, Lauren, and we'll be back with you all next week with more Ask the Experts. Thanks for tuning in today. Stay well. See you soon.
Be well, Steve.
Thanks, Lauren.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.